The Story of Kemet. Kemet was called Ethiopia, the land of the people with burnt faces by ancient Greek writers, and based on historical evidence, the story of the history of Kemet starts in the Nubian South. The historical origins of Kemet lie in Ta-Seti, which is the world's oldest civilization that existed before ancient Egypt, with its origins in the Nile Valley. Ta-Seti was known as the land of the bow, which was the main weapon of the Nubians. By at least 3800 BC, the Ta-Seti Egyptian Kemetic Civilization had risen to become the most powerful chieftancy in the Nile Valley region during the unified late Naqada period of Egyptian history. The Kustal tombs near the Sudanese border show the existence of an early Egyptian Kemetic civilization culture, because various symbols of Ta-Seti royalty were later adopted in ancient Egypt or Kemet once Upper and Lower Egypt had been unified by Narmer. These Nubian Egyptian Kemetic civilization historical artifacts, such as an incense burner, a palace, facade, and a king wearing the Southern Nubian Kushite Crown sitting on a throne in a boat bearing the royal standard of the Falcon God Horus, suggest that Egyptian Kemetic civilization was already established by 3800 BC in the Nile Valley. Historical artifacts such as the Narmer palette suggest that by 3300 to 3500 BC the Egyptian Kemetic civilization, with its beginnings at Ta-Seti, had led to the creation of a unified northern and southern Egypt called Kemet. After the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt to form Kemet, the nome of Memphis was established as the first nome of Kemet to serve as a defensive colony to protect the interior from invasion. Kemet then extended its nomes, provinces, into the delta and all the way into the Mediterranean under Pharaoh Thutmose III in the period during when the Egyptian Kemetic civilization reached its greatest territorial extent. In this period Kemet adopted and developed the Egyptian Kemetic civilization culture it had inherited, such as the Osirian religion and the hieroglyphic Medu-Neter script, which had already been developed before the existence of dynastic Egypt as the model for civilization in Kemet. Based on the Narmer palette and archaeological excavations at sites like Kustal, evidence suggests that the history of Kemet and the Egyptian Kemetic civilization dates back to at least 3800 BC. Historically, the founders of Egyptian Kemetic civilization in Kemet were the Ta-Seti culture from the south, who also continued to exert their influence on dynastic Kemet, most notably through the Black Pharaohs, who would periodically conquer Kemet from the south to restore the southern Egyptian Kemetic civilization traditions that had given birth to Kemet. Once dynastic Kemet came into existence, Kemet continued to build upon the template of Egyptian Kemetic civilization with its historical origins in the pre-colonial Black African Nubian culture, which has made one of the biggest contributions to world civilization as the world's oldest civilization. Furthermore, despite the fact that Kemet traded with and was occupied by different populations over time, the essential characteristics of historical Egyptian Kemetic civilization, such as Egyptian Kemetic spirituality, were already established by the time dynastic Egypt came into existence. The story of the history of Kemet has resulted in one of the most important historical legacies to humanity through the Nile Valley civilization culture, which began the Neolithic Age in Africa circa 3400 BCE, and has inspired the development of civilization since then.